What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Big Five Pod, episode number 74. A little different this time. We're going to start with a guest. We're going to end with just Cope and I, but we're going to talk about a whole lot of basketball in between. I'm, of course, your co-host, Kyle Morello. Our guest today, none other than Tommy Godin, host of the Full 40 podcast. Tommy, how are you?
I'm very well, Kyle. Thank you for having me on.
Of course, of course. And, of course, the one and only Jake Cope. Cope, what's going on?
Yeah, I'm working the late shift, so I didn't get to watch Drexel today, but we're doing well. Listen, been a rough go for Villanova that we're going to talk about. So we brought the Pope on, we brought Tommy on. We got to, need to let some stuff out. We got to talk some more. None other than Tommy Godin, best guy around. Backbone, Tom. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah. Thank you again for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course, of course. Listen, Tommy, your time is valuable, so we are going to get right into it. And we're going to talk about Villanova Wildcats. There's no Cope's quick hitters today. There's none of that, no anything else right now. The main focus right now is the Villanova Wildcats. Cope, I know you mentioned it many moons ago, it seems like now, that this 5 game stretch they had coming up where they had Marquette, UConn, St. John's, Butler, and then bookmarking it with Marquette, uh, was going to define what this Villanova team was looking at for the rest of the season. Are they going to be the team that prevails, gets a couple or a few quad one wins and gets some good wins under their belt heading toward February? Or were they going to be a team that shows what they're made of in the negative way? And unfortunately, Tommy and Cope, we found out that the latter was true. They went 0 for 5 in this stretch. Some games were close, some games were not. Some games were ugly. Most of the games actually were a little bit ugly, to be completely honest with you. Um, Now the Wildcats are sitting near 500, sitting toward the bottom of the Big East, or at least not as high as they were before this stretch. And they are on the outside looking in, at least according to Joe Lunardi's bracketology, that has them as a first four out right now. And that was before the Marquette lost as well. So, Tommy, you being the guest, you being the Villanova expert, I do have to ask you first, what happened in this 5 game stretch?
Yeah, closer to a Fortune 500 record company, as John Rothstein loves to tweet. Um, it's been it's been a tough stretch, obviously. Losers in 6 of their last 7 games. It's really been a combination of a lot of things going on. I mean, they're shooting on unguarded attempts from the field. They're shooting, it was barely over 40% on unguarded attempts. So it's missing open shots, guys not finding each. It feels like watching this team, the chemistry. Like it's the first time I've ever seen this really with any of my sports teams that I follow. It feels like the chemistry as the season goes on is getting worse a little bit. It's really an anomaly. But yeah, I mean, this team has all the talent in the world. We see what they were capable of in Atlantis, picking up big wins, even in conference play. They picked up a win over Creighton on the road in Omaha. We knew this stretch was going to be tough. I didn't expect to go 0 and 5, but that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes in the Big East. Great basketball conference, and Villanova's not playing great basketball right now. That's for sure.
Hope, no, they are not. No, they are not. So why don't we get into this last game first before we go back to a little bit more of the overarching theme? Obviously, Villanova losing to Marquette 85-80 at Finner Pavilion. They were down as many as 20 in the first half, 37-17 with 5 minutes left in that first half. Went on a run to cut it to, I think it was 9 or 8 before halftime. Mark Armstrong helped leading a good run there before halftime. They ended up taking a 4-point lead into the second half at some point in the second half. And then the wheels started to fall off again. They went down as many as 11. They cut it all the way back down to 3 toward the end. Obviously, they lost by 5. I think the biggest story in this one was that they could not stop Tyler Kolek. 32 points, 9 assists, 10 of 20 from the field, 5 of 8 from 3. I mean, Cope, he was just taking over in the second half, especially spotting up from 3, throwing dimes that I have not seen in quite some time from a college player, a college point guard. So, Cope, what exactly in this game, how did they get back into this game, and then how did they blow that so quickly in the second half?
Well, they were playing a little bit faster. Marquette, with the zone that they were playing, they were trapping Eric Dixon when he got the ball and not letting them beat them. in the half court, and then especially that first 10 minutes, like that was as bad as they played all year. There was no movement. They were turning the ball over. They were stagnant on offense. They really couldn't get any looks. They really couldn't get into the shell of the defense. I mean, the first 10 minutes was really really bad. But for them to get back in it, they started hitting shots. They started to play up. They started to run a little bit. They played physical with Tyler Kolek. They made a lot of his looks inside going to the basket tough for him. Here's the thing, Kyle. Nova got back in this game when Tyler Kolek had a little bit of a lull scoring. They started to get back into it. They were playing good defense. They had some turnovers. But then Tyler Kolek just took over. That was the best individual performance I saw by anybody. I mean, that was spectacular. Kyle, I said to you, I said in the first half, I think the worst play he made was a kickball that Marquette ended up retaining the possession. I mean, he was absolutely surgical on Tuesday night. How about the 9 assists, Kyle? 2 turnovers. I mean, he had 11 assists to 2. So in two games against Villanova, he's got 20 assists and 4 turnovers. That's pretty damn good. You're not going to find many other guys doing that in the country. But they started playing good defense on Kolek, making it hard for him. They weren't helping off of David Joplin. That was tough. That kind of extended the lead for Marquette at times. So, when Nova can generate some events on defense, when they can generate some steals, and then when they were playing fast, don't let Marquette set that defense that was giving them so much trouble. And then, of course, it helps when you're able to make some. It was good on them for getting back in it. But, Tommy, what's that stat? It's like kill shots, 10-0 runs that teams give up. Villanova that literally gives up like most of them. They start out. Marquette goes on a huge run to start the game. And then it felt like Tyler Cole, like the threes he was hitting was so big the end of the game, it felt like they went on to it. Because he hit 2 huge I think he hit 4 of his threes in the second half. Yeah. He was spectacular. That was the difference, Kyle. Tyler Cole wasn't in a Villanova uniform. No disrespect to anybody on the Wildcats, but that he was on a mission. He wasn't going to let him lose, and he made shorthanded Marquette at that.
Yeah, that stat. The shout out to Evan Mayakawa on Twitter. He does a great job with all the analytics. He actually renamed the y-axis on the graph the v-axis after Villanova because they are on their own island up there. They give up more 10-0 runs than any top 75 team in the country. The only team in the country that gives up more is DePaul, who currently doesn't have well, obviously they have an interim head coach, but they're definitely going through a transition right now. But yeah, Tyler Kolek was outstanding in this game. We all know his physical skill set, reigning Big East Player of the Year, got the preseason All-American nod. I mean, this kid's just incredible. But what he brings off the court, the intangibles, you heard the crowd. I mean, you guys were there. The "you can't read" chants, the overrated chants. He feeds off that. He takes all that negative energy, and it only makes him. It feels like it makes him better, and that's a special type of player when you can do that. But yeah, the slow starts. We saw it in the Marquette game. We saw it in the St. John's game. We saw it in the UConn game. These kill shots that they give up, specifically in the beginning of the game, have been a reoccurring theme for them, and it's been shooting them in the foot all season long. I mean, I talk about it on my other podcast all the time. This team is a team. Some teams look different game to game. This team can look different from half to half, and that inconsistency is really where I think they're running into a lot of trouble.
And they are indeed running into a lot of trouble, and they're also running out of time, which is definitely what I want to get into in this next discussion before we sign off with Tommy previewing the Providence game on Sunday. So listen, why don't we get into this overarching theme here is that they are sitting on the outside looking in of the NCAA tournament right now, probably according to any publication that, covers college basketball regularly and has bracketology and all that fun stuff. So Tommy, I'll start with you. From a scale of a shot clock violation to a hurricane alarm, how loud are the alarm bells for the Wildcats right now?
Ooh, I like that. The hurricane alarm is pretty. I'll go a fire alarm.
Okay.
Right squarely in the middle. No, but yeah, it's do or die. I mean, they're running out of time, and it's not getting any easier. They do have time to pick up some quad one wins left on their schedule. They still have UConn. They still have Creighton again. Providence on the road is always tough. So I mean, they have time to pick up these wins, but they're going to have to go 8-2, 9-1 in their last 10 games, and I don't know if that's realistic. I don't know if that's tangible right now, just because their inconsistencies that they've been all year. I mean, they have the talent. They absolutely have the talent to rip off a stretch like that to win some games that they shouldn't. Um, but executing that and having that in theory are two very different things for this team.
Absolutely. Cope, how about you?
So first of all, I love the analogy there of the alarms there.
Yeah,
That's a new one. I love that.
Just thought of
I'm
it,
gonna
to be completely
say
honest.
that terrific to do
had
on
to
the
think of
fly.
all the different alarms going off.
Yeah, yeah. I can only think of a couple like off the
Right,
dome. I'm gonna
right.
say an alarm like somebody broke in, or like if you have like a Sloman shield or something like that on your house, and it's almost like the beep, beep,
Ooh,
beep, like the constant alarm. Because yes, it's loud, but here's the thing: when I hear the fire alarm by my house go off, and I hear the fire siren, that doesn't make me jump out of my seat. Like, oh my god! If I heard that alarm, it would startle me and jump me out of my seat. And the only reason I say that is because not only is the alarm a little bit loud, but it's like there's some urgency and like whoa, because hey, like we're getting toward the end here. You can't bank on a run in the Big East tournament. If you remember a couple years ago, Texas A&M was a bubble team. They went on a run in the Big East the SEC tournament. I think they beat Arkansas. They got smoked by Tennessee in the championship. They were like, oh, they made a good run. They didn't get the automatic bid, but they made a good run. Won the first four. So you can't really bank on a run like that. So it's starting to get late here. I got to interview Mike DeCourcy from Fox Sports, who's their bracketologist, and he says like by the time you get to Valentine's Day, that's when the bubble starts to really get like do or die. Like every game is life and death. Every loss is, oh my God, we're out. Every win is like we're that much closer to securing ourselves. But for Villanova, I think like they've surpassed that. I think it starts at the very beginning of this because they're at you saw how hot they started. They're now cold going into February. They still have to go to UConn. They have to go up to Providence. They have to play them on Sunday. So there's a lot of good opportunities here. There's also a lot of pressures like, hey, we lose this one. Like our opportunities to get a huge win to put ourselves in the field start to dwindle. So if that makes sense, like a
Yeah.
house alarm, I guess. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. Absolutely. And listen, Valentine's Day is less than 2 weeks away now. So that sense of urgency is definitely needed from the Wildcats. And I guess it's just a question of can they do it? I don't know the answer to that question right now. If I had to guess based off of the last 5 games, obviously I would say no. But also, they've had some close performances in this. They lost by a point to the number one team in the country in UConn. Obviously, this game against Marquette was topsy-turvy, more turvy than topsy. I don't really know how those analogies work per se in relation to how they were doing. But there was that. There was the Butler game that they blew a lead and they started off on a big run and they were even up late by a decent amount for how late they were or how late it was in the game. So there's a lot of different variables that can happen. They're still a talented team at the end of the day, but can they put it together is the question. And that starts on Sunday at the Wells Fargo Center against Providence, a team that is, I wouldn't say they're on the bubble, but they're definitely close-ish. I think Joe Lunardi had them projected as a 10 seed right now. So they're also fighting for their tournament lives as well, though they are on the inside. So, Tommy, Sunday, it's going to be a big day for both teams at the Wells Fargo Center. How do you see this one playing out?
This is going to be slow. This is going to be low scoring. I don't like Villanova's chances only because Jake is going to be in attendance, and I don't think that Villanova has ever won with him in attendance, at least not this year. Um, but yeah, I mean, Providence's defense is outstanding. They have a top 10 unit in the country, according to Ken Pom, in defensive efficiency. And Villanova's offense currently 56. I mean, it was in the top 20 for some parts of the year. It was in the top 30 for a good chunk of the year. And lately it's been plummeting to 56. And even those numbers seem inflated because they are the number one free throw shooting team in the country. And that goes into the equation. And they do a pretty good job not turning the ball over, which does help. But the offense has just looked so shaky. It's looked great at times for flashes, but the overall offense is tough. Their defense, however, been sputtering a bit the last, of course, in this 5 game stretch. They've played a lot of good teams, but over the course of the year, I'll say that their defense has improved slightly. Providence's offense, aside from Devin Carter, is not great. Um, But man, Devin Carter is special. I don't know if you guys watched the Providence Georgetown game. That was electric. Just watching him take over at the end of that game, 32 points, I think he had in there. He's legit first team All Big East potential. He could be vying for Big East Player of the Year at this point. He's that good. His draft stock has risen incredibly. It's going to be hard to try and find someone to stick him. Mark Armstrong's probably the only one that can keep up with him from just a straight foot speed. Wise, but I think Justin Moore is going to get a lot of that assignment because he can keep him in front of him. He's obviously a great defender. No Bryce Hopkins in this one, obviously for Providence, which is a shame. Torn ACL that really hurt their chances because they looked really good earlier in the year. They're a really well coached team. Kim English does a great job. He has a lot of fire on the sidelines. He coaches with passion. We love to see that. Gardway Dual is coming into his own, getting a ton of minutes as a freshman, highly touted freshman. Scoring the ball is not his MO, but great passer, great playmaker, has an eye for the game. IQ is on another level. Ticket gains. His name is Ticket. He brings in the tickets.
Box office.
He's fun to watch, man. So Providence has a fun little team. Outstanding defensive wise. Offense is a little shaky. I think if Villanova is going to come out with the win in this one, they need to certainly take care of the ball. I think Eric Dixon could have a good game in this one. We see him go against bigger guys. Josh Oduro, the foot speed. I don't think he can keep up with Eric Dixon. I think if Dixon can draw him out to the three, that'll open up a lot of the lane for other people like Tyler Burton, who's been cutting a lot more of late. Earlier in the year, he's been used as a shooter around the wing, which is just not his role. He finishes tough inside the arc. I mean, you guys seen it in Richmond, the A10 last couple of years, and he's an outstanding finisher. So I think Eric Dixon pulling out Oduro out to the arc is going to be big in this one. And Mark Armstrong, if he can continue his strong play, that's going to be the engine that powers this Villanova train. And they need to win. They need to win, even with Jake in attendance. They definitely need this one. So it's going to have a lot to play for.
Cope, what's your record in Villanova games this year?
Well, why don't we go through it? Ready? So,
Okay.
At the Palestra versus Penn, close.
Yep.
At the Finn versus St. Joe's, close.
Yep.
At the Wells Fargo Center versus Drexel, close. At the Finn versus St. John's, loss. Tuesday night at the Finn against Marquette.
Okay.
So, something doesn't have to give because me and Villanova are both kind of on 5-game losers. It could very well go to 6. To be quite honest with you, like I actually think I do think this. Tommy brings up a lot of good points. Number one, the defense of Providence, but how about just how hard they play? I had questions about Kim English. I knew he was going to be able to recruit. He obviously has the passion of the sign that you talk about. He's very, very into the game, which is awesome. And it translates over to the team for sure. I mean, you're not going to find a team really in this conference and in America that plays as hard as the Tigers. And you bring up Devin Carter as well. We just saw Tuesday night a guy in Tyler Pollock, a potential Big East Player of the Year, certainly a first-team All-Big East player, who is capable of taking over a game. And Devin Carter is absolutely that guy as well. He rocks. He's a great athlete. He's a great defender. His shot may look a little funky. He can knock down threes, like get into the paint and finish. He's awesome. He is a terrific player. Yeah, that Georgetown game was great. It's a shame the Big East kind of has a vendetta, or no, ESPN kind of has a vendetta against the Big East, I guess, because they have the Fox contract, because that should have been the ESPN College Game Day game. They easily should have been in Friartown for Georgetown and but yeah, the defense that this team plays, how good Devin Carter is, you're going up against another guy who's capable of completely taking over a game. The Oduro versus Dixon matchup was interesting because as much as Oduro does not have the foot speed to stay on the perimeter and play with Derek Dixon out there, I mean, he's a load inside and is a big guy, really good footwork and can finish in the game. So it'll be a good matchup in the post. Someone's going to need to stop Devin Carter, but I'm seeing this Providence team, even without Bryce Hopkins, they pushed UConn to the brink. Like this is still a good team that plays very, very hard. And with the inconsistencies that Villanova has. Like I know for a fact the Friars are they're going to play a tough one. I'm going to roll with the Friars here. I guess partially is that's also because I'm going to be in attendance. I'm like I promise you, I'm not doing this to sabotage Villanova. Like I'm not. This isn't intentional. I don't know what I can do to be better. If anyone has any suggestions, maybe that suggestion is that I stay home. So Tommy, how about I make a promise to you, ready? Because you're not gonna be there.
Oh
So
boy.
if let me look at this. If they lose, if Villanova loses, I will self-impose a 2-game ban. I already did it once. I did one game. I'll self-impose.
You listen. Their 1 game ban was against DePaul, though. I mean,
Well, that's why I did. That was the whole joke.
Can we talk about that? I mean, come on. Come on now.
That was the whole joke. It saved me from going to watch DePaul, and then they got to win. So if they lose this weekend, Tom, I will bar myself from going on Sunday, February 11th at Seton Hall, and Tuesday, February 20th against Butler. You have a deal?
I like that deal. I think you need to bring some good juju. Yeah, we can virtually shake on that. I think you need to bring some good juju with you. Like kind of lean into like the wine and cheese Villanova crowd. Like wear your best vineyard vines. Like find some corduroys or some khaki slacks. Like if you have a pair of Sperry's, throw them bad boys on. Like you really got to lean into the Villanova vibe, and maybe that'll bring some good energy to the building.
I could do that. Ready? I have a Vineyard Vines button up I'll wear.
There we go.
I like wearing these. I know it's a token of your fit as well to Nova games. I'll throw a vest right on top of it. I have a vest that'll match the shirt. I'll put on some khakis and I'll put Tommy, I'll take a picture of my fit. I'll have it like you ever see that meme like have my fit out for the first day of school. I'll lay it on my bed and I'll post it so everybody can see it. And I'll wear that on Sundays.
There's no chance Villanova can lose if you do so. So I wasn't feeling confident going into this game, but I feel on top of the world now after that.
We're gonna put it to the system.
Listen, you guys heard it here first. Cope and Tommy are collabing on their outfit or on Cope's outfit to try to break the losing streak for both Cope and Villanova. So I'm very, very excited for that. I will be there hopefully as well. I haven't heard 100% back yet, but hopefully I'll be there as well. I think I'll be there. As for my pick, I am also going to go with Providence. You guys made a bunch of great points that I don't think I can really expand on. However, I will say one thing to look out for that will be in Nova's favor is the turnover battle, I think. Nova does a very good job of taking care of the basketball. Providence, not as much. They are 237th in the country, according to Ken Palmer, in turnover percentage, whereas Villanova is 47th. So something to keep an eye on, something positive for Villanova. Obviously, we talk about the free throw percentage a lot. That's another thing as well. However, with how bad they've been playing, I am still going to go with Providence in this one. That defense is going to be a load for Villanova to handle. And yeah, Devin Carter is playing absolutely out of his mind. So that is that. Tommy, we are done talking about Villanova, so you can go enjoy the rest of your night. Definitely don't want to keep you, but we do very, very much appreciate you hopping on talking Villanova hoops with us. I know it has not been it's been a little bit of a sore subject for all Villanova fans and everyone alike, but hopefully they can turn it around. Hopefully they can start doing so on Sunday against Providence. Hopefully, like we said, Villanova and Cope can break their respective losing streaks. Any final thoughts though before you sign off here?
Yeah, I first of all, thank you again for having me on. I love your guys' show. This is a bunch of fun. But yeah, for Villanova for the whole Big Five, I haven't been on since the Big Five Classic, and I just wanted to. I know Jake was a big part of that, and you were as well. I mean, it's just so nice to see college basketball in Philadelphia coming back the way it has. And I feel a spark this year, and then the rivalries are just heating up that much more. And the fact that Villanova finished sixth in a Big Five classic, it was fun. It was fun to hear all the chirp and all the talking, and you guys do a great job. So that is my piece. Thank you again for having me on, and good luck with the rest of the show.
Well, that was very nice. Thank you, Tom. We really appreciate that. And thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thanks again.
Yes, sir. Alrighty, that was Tommy Godin. covers Villanova in the Mainline Minute podcast, which is on the Full 40 network. He does a phenomenal job, Cope, as you know. But shout out to Tommy. Hopefully I know he's going to be missing this game. I think he said he was going to Charlotte to visit some friends. So have a great time there. And yeah. All right, Cope. We got some other things to get into besides Villanova basketball. I know that took a little bit, but we have specifically some Atlantic 10 action to get into. So why don't we do just that? We can quickly go over the games that happened during the week, and then we can get to, obviously, besides the Villanova Providence game, the main event of the weekend. So why don't we get right into it? Two Atlantic 10 games on Wednesday, one loss, one win. We'll start with the loss. LaSalle at Rhode Island. Unfortunately, the Explorers fell 71-69 in a very close game with Rhode Island. Khalil Brantley, 19 points on 7 of 17 from the field. Tayshaun Shepard, 14 points on 6 of 11. And Jameer Brickus, 14 points. Not so efficient, though, 4 of 13. And Cope, that was kind of the theme for LaSalle once again in this game. They shot 36.6% from the field, 25.8% from three, which obviously both of those numbers are definitely not good. But here's the kicker. In a 2-point loss, they shot 9 of 18 from the line. For you mathletes at home, that is 50%. And that is not going to do the trick. And we've talked about their shooting woes a lot, both from the field and from the line, and from three, obviously, as well. Cope, we saw it again in this game. Are they running out of time to correct this issue? Because it does kind of feel that way.
I just don't know like what the remedy here is.
There
You
is
can't add
none really,
anybody.
but
Yeah, you're not gonna
yeah.
like make a mid-season acquisition here. It just kind of is what it is. That just work with what they have. And Old Knight from Tunde, who is coming off a string of a couple good games for him, 1 of 6 from three. Marrero, Gill off the bench, 2 of 7 apiece. Even in a game where you got Khalil Brantley with 19, Brickus of 14, and how about 8 boards, 6 assists for Brickus, and then I throw in 5 assists for Khalil Brantley. Like that's what these guys do. They score a good chunk of the points, and they had 11 of their 15 assists. Like that's just what it's going to be. Those two are going to have to be they're going to have to be spectacular every night. Like that's really the for them to string together a bunch of wins here, and then to go against the team in Rhode Island that they don't shoot a lot of threes at all, but they're deep, they're physical. At least in terms of LaSalle, like they're gonna play 9-10 minutes. Rhode Island will, and for LaSalle, like they're with no Ryan Zan for this game, they're only playing 7, so it's another disadvantage for them that they're going to be at. You're only going to play, they're only going to play 7 guys. If there's not a lot of production there's some foul trouble. Like this is what's going to happen. But they fought to get back into this. Will Brantley had a 3 at the end to cut this lead. They got bailed out by some bad Rhode Island free throw shooting. Not that LaSalle was any better, but Rhode Island had multiple chances to hit some free throws to close us out. They still gave us out. Actually, win at the end here. We're tying. So it was close. It wasn't a pretty game. I feel like the last time they went up there, I think last year was the game they were like 2 for 16 in the last 7 minutes. Just feel like it's like when you have LaSalle go up there, it's ugly. It's kind of a walk fest. Well, but yeah, this was going to be golf. Brantley and Brickus, they have to be on their game every night. They're going to play make for everybody else. They need to create for themselves and make most of the shots. If there's not a lot of production elsewhere from a couple guys, unfortunately, they're probably not going to. So, and they're real feisty. They're real feisty, but they want it. There's no more victories.
Yeah, no more victories at all. And like you said, there's like no real remedy. You can't just say, "Oh, well, they have to make shots." Of course, they have to make shots. They're playing basketball. You have to make shots to win the ball game. That's besides the point. And there was a lot of other things that they were like doing well. I mean, the rebounding margin was pretty even. They actually forced more turnovers than they turned the ball over. I think it was 12-8 in favor of LaSalle, meaning Rhode Island had 12 turnovers. They like the game was even except for the fact that they simply just could not put the ball in the basket at the rate that they want to, like they did in their last game against George Washington. It was it was rough. That's pretty much all you can say in this one. It was rough, and they were still in it, and they had a chance to win and get a decent win on the road here, and unfortunately they couldn't pull through. But like you said, they're scrappy, they fight. Fran Dunphy always has them playing uh, at least at a high effort level, if nothing else, which is important. But unfortunately, sometimes effort can't be the only thing that gets the job done. So, excuse me, but it's a tough loss for LaSalle, especially in a game where they definitely felt like they could have had it, and I think we all felt like they could have had it. So, definitely a tough result for them. But Cope, there was a win in the Atlantic 10 on Wednesday for the Big Five, and that would be another feisty win for the St. Joe's Hawks, 75 to 73 at home against George Mason. Uh, Xavier Brown was their leading scorer in this one, 16 points on 7 of 12 from the field, and Cope added in 4 steals, which is spectacular. Creased, another dominant game, 6 and 15 boards, which is, again, spectacular. Eric Reynolds, very efficient, 3 of 5 from the field, 14 points in this one. And Rasheer Fleming, 13 points and 9 rebounds as well. They shot over 50% from the field. They shot 36% from three. And Cope, most importantly, they found a way to win another close game against a team that, as we said, and we have to, I think, listen, I think we have to give ourselves some credit here. We said this was going to be a really close game. These teams were very evenly matched, and they showed that, and they pulled out another scrappy win against a quality opponent in George Mason. Now they won 4 out of the last 5 after, of course, dropping their first 3 of conference play. They are in a decent spot right now. I had the A10 standings pulled up, and now I have to re-pull them up. So now they're tied with George Mason at 4-4 in the Atlantic 10. Obviously, Richmond is 8-0, Dayton 7-1, and then Loyola and VCU 6-2 and 5-3 respectively. But they're right in the mix, which is where you want to be this time of year. I know you mentioned with Villanova, once you get to, this is for the bubble, but once you get to February 14th around Valentine's Day, things really start taking shape. So they have a few more games before then. They're 14-7 on the year, 4-4 in Atlantic 10 play. How do you feel about another scrappy win against a quality opponent?
Yeah, I thought this is a really, really impressive win. Wasn't exactly pretty, but
No.
they shot 50% from the field, a little over 50%. And listen, man, what a player Xavier Brown is.
Yeah.
He's having a terrific season, and it seems like he's getting better in big spots like this against a Mason team that's been a nice surprise. That it was Milf Bartelli or Hawkhill Harwood. It was one of them. Maybe it's Big Five plus. It was somebody. They posted the KenPom standings, and you have Mason at 97 and St. Joe's at 98. Regardless, they're literally like next to each other in the KenPom rankings to show you, as that tweet said, how evenly matched. It's absolutely correct. It's a very, very close game, very good game. Crease with only 6 points, but listen, 15 rebounds. God, that is a damn good game. If you're only going to put up 6 points, but have 15 rebounds, even if you scored no points and 15 rebounds, that's a damn good game. He had 2 big free throws at the end. And look, Eric Reynolds only took 5 shots in this game when they needed it. Xavier Brown hit some big buckets. He was getting his hands in passing lanes. He had a possession late where he got a deflection, almost had a steal, and then either almost had the steal or deflected it. Like he had two deflections possession. Like he is like routinely getting better with each game. He was spectacular this game. Like late in the game, he's so comfortable. He's confident. He's driving to the bucket. He was taking threes. Like he is such a player. And hopefully he stays on. Who knows if he'll stay on Hawk Hill for 4 years.
And I hope
at this
so.
pace, he might be jet set into the league. He's he saved them. Not really saved them, but I mean he took control of this game late for a freshman in a game like this. Very, very impressive. So they had to scrap. They had to claw one out. Rasheer Fleming had a big defensive play late in the game where I believe it was Rashard Kelly he pulled a 3, and I don't know if Fleming got a fingertip on it, but he at least like tipped the ball, or it altered the shot enough. Amari Kelly, my bad, sorry. It's Amari Kelly or Keyshawn. Sorry, I just wedged.
That happens.
But they had defensive plays when they needed it. Gave up some threes. George Mason 10 of 27 in this game. But listen, they got it done. They closed out a game. Like, look, they started out 0-3. They're 4-1 season. Not too bad. Not too bad. So after starting with 3 games that I thought they could have won, they're now on a pretty good streak here, and then they have a game Saturday that we'll talk about that I think they. So impressive win. Not pretty. This is a gritty one, not a pretty one, but really, really good win for St. Joe's. There's a feisty George Mason Patriots team, and very evenly matched, very close, able to pull some nuts.
Yeah, this was absolutely 100% a gritty win. And Cope, you mentioned that 0-3 start and how close those games were. They realistically could be 7-1 and sitting in second place in a game behind Richmond in conference play. Like they played good in those games. For most of those games, they just did not know how to close it out. Now they're starting to figure out how to close it out. Obviously, the Bonaventure game did not go so well. It happens that team's pretty talented and they've got a good coach and they went up to Olean and you know bad things happen sometimes when you go up to Olean and play there. So you take that with a grain of salt. But other than that, I mean, they've been good and they did not figure out how to close out those first 3 games and now they're starting to figure it out. So this team, if I was in the A10, I would not be too happy with how St. Joe's is playing because they're playing damn well, and I would be scared. Maybe not so scared. I know there's some teams that are really good, obviously Richmond, Dayton, but this team's playing at a very high level, and especially since Kreese has come back, he's been phenomenal for them, and I'm really excited to see how he does for the rest of the season. So, Cope, why don't we get into one of those games that falls under the category of the rest of the season? We did preview one game already this week. If you want to go over another one, we can after this, but this is the one we absolutely have to because it's an inner Big Five matchup taking place on Saturday at noon at Tom Gola Arena, and it's between those St. Joseph Hawks and the LaSalle Explorers. So, Cope, why don't we get into it? First meeting of the year between these two teams. St. Joe's is sitting at 97 in KenPom, LaSalle sitting at 218. The one thing, and looking at their respective KenPom pages right now, that stands out about this matchup that we already know about, but just like to have the numbers to confirm this as well, as always. St. Joe's 40th in 3-point percentage in the country on offense, and defensively, LaSalle is 262nd in 3-point percentage. And another thing too, offensive rebounding percentage, they are 272 defensive, 292 for LaSalle, and St. Joe's is 131 offensive, 210 defensive. So those are the two big battles I see in this one, the 3-point line and down low grabbing boards. We know sometimes it's been a struggle for a LaSalle team that's not all that big outside of Rokas. And they've had some struggles defending 3-point line, and obviously St. Joe's can't shoot the lights out. I think you know where I'm going with this. As much as I think Fran Dunphy will have his boys ready to play, this is a home game for LaSalle. The last one, as you texted me earlier this week, the last St. Joe's LaSalle game at Tom Gola Arena as we know it. I am going to go with the Hawks in this one. I honestly think it'll be pretty handily. I don't know exactly how close they'll keep it. Usually Fran Dunphy is good at this, but this Joe's team is playing very, very well right now, and they've been playing some quality teams. And I think this is, in the last few games, this is probably the worst team that they've faced over this small stretch here. So not to slander LaSalle too much because I do like a lot of things about this LaSalle team, but I am going to go with the Hawks here. So Cope, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to roll with the Hawks as well. And even with Anwar Gill healthy for LaSalle in this, I'm going to roll with St. Joe's. They're just deeper. They can play more guys. They're just more explosive offensively. They have shot making that LaSalle doesn't really have. So 2 things to watch for here that I thought were big in the landscape. Well, 3. I think that the way that LaSalle stays in this game. So it is a home game. Apparently, it's supposed to be a pretty good crowd on hand. Supposedly there's a whiteout theme apparently, which should be pretty cool. Hopefully it's real loud in there. You know it's going to be really hot. So hopefully it's going to be really loud. Really imagine it would be, but LaSalle is going to stay in this game if St. Joe's is going to turn it over. You remember in that second half, they actually brought LaSalle cut the lead to 9 points because St. Joe's started turning. LaSalle cut the lead to 9 because St. Joe's was turning a couple times in the second half. Allowed LaSalle to get some baskets and cut the lead, get back in it a little bit. Never felt like LaSalle was really that close, but they did cut the lead to single digits because of some self-inflicted wounds. So 2 things to watch out for. Kreese had his way early, especially when Ryan Zan was in there. He had his way. He's a big guy that LaSalle doesn't have that muscle inside to keep up. So not only that, but defensively for St. Joe's, they did a good job trying to contain Jameer Brickus and Neil Brantley as well as possible inside the paint. They said, hey, we know they're really good. We would rather them kick out to shooters because they haven't really shown the ability to knock them down that often and that consistently. We would rather take the ball out of Jameer Brickus and Khalil Brantley's hands and kick out to shooters, deal with that, rather than have those two guys get inside the team and score. So defensively, that's what I'm going to watch out for, containing the ball when the Killer Bees have the rock in their hands. And then defensively, for LaSalle at least, are you going to throw a double to Kreese? You're probably going to have, if you're going to have Ryan Zan in there, you're going to have Daishawn Shepard giving up size to Kreese. It's going to be a problem for him. There's just too many ways that St. Joe's can hurt them in this game that I don't think LaSalle is a clear remedy for us. I'm going to take St. Joe's as well. First and foremost, Kyle, they're just more explosive. They can go on a run here. They can go on a quick run where they can knock down some shots and go on a lightning quick 13-2, 13-4 runs. Like the South. So even being at home, even having Anwar Gill back, I think this will be a closer game, but I'm going to take St. Joe's. Very excited to be there, though. And if they win, Sid Booker's for everybody, baby.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, also very excited to be there. And I did accidentally say first matchup between them this season. This is, of course, the second matchup between them this season. That first game was not competitive, so it almost feel like it did not exist, but it did, in fact, exist. So I don't know why I said first, but I meant second. But anyhow, yes, Cope, listen, you said it. You're going to be treating the Sid Bookers if they win, so you heard it here first. I'm just playing. But yeah, this will be a fun atmosphere. I'm definitely excited. My first time at Tom Gola. So I am very excited, especially obviously the new renovations are going to be happening, I believe starting in the spring or summer. So definitely excited for that. And yeah, anything I should know about Tom Gola before we head there on Saturday?
So I don't want to reveal to you where I park, because I don't want anyone to start stealing my spot when I go there for games, but I'll show you where to park. All knowers know to not park in the arena parking lot because it's small and when it gets jam-packed, it's a mess. Because you also have people that live in the South houses. They might park there at least, but then you got people that work there, park there. It's a mess. Don't pull in the driveway to Tom Gola Arena at 10 o'clock. I'll drop a pin as to where you can park. Guys like myself, sick brag. I went there for a year. I also frequent games there a lot because I'm a sicko. I know where to find the parking spots. So
All right.
I will let you know. Also,
Listen.
if you have a Yeti or you can bring water bottles in, make sure you do that. I've already told you this a bunch of times. Very hot, and especially if they're expecting a huge crowd, which I'm all for. Bring some water. It's gonna be hot.
All right. Listen, just make sure you don't forget your Yeti. That does happen, unfortunately, sometimes for this one here. Cope, also, I think you're going to be in the city before the game on Saturday, so we might just have to carpool. Because if you're going to be here and I'm here, we might just have to go together. It's gonna save the environment, and it's gonna save me from having to find a parking spot, even if we're together. So we'll have to figure that out. But anywho, yeah, this is going to be a very exciting game, and I can't wait to check out Gola before it gets renovated. So that is that. Cope, I don't know if there's any other games you wanted to go over real quick. Oh, you got something you want to say here?
I don't have any other games I want to touch on. I mean, the Villanova game is big because I wanted to touch on the Inter Big Five matchup because we'll be there, and then Nova because I'll be there as well. But after Sunday, I'm going to go through every game that I've attended in person this year, and I'm going to make a win-loss record. Now, that excludes Inter Big Five games. I've been to a bunch this year besides the Inter Big Five matches, but obviously someone's got to win something. But the last 3 games I was at, Villanova, the game we were at, the Temple game, and then LaSalle, I'm 0-3 in the last. That's just thinking off. So I'm going to make a running win-loss record for myself, and then I'll put, in parentheses, attended this many games, blank were Big Five games. so that they don't. I think I'm on a bad streak. I don't want to ban myself because, like, listen, I'm trying to be there so I can know what's going on.
Of
I like
course.
games,
We're trying to bring you guys great coverage, but
but at the same time, like, I can't have a second year in a row that we've done the podcast and it's like, wow, the Big Five, the first time in X amount of years that they've gone 2 straight years without any team in the tournament. Then I think that I'm the problem.
I think it's
I'll
also a
make a running
collection.
tally.
I think it's a collection effort, though. I mean, if you're a problem because we're doing this pod and they're not winning, that means I'm also the problem too.
Yeah, we got to
So
be better.
we got to be better.
That's accountability right there.
It is. Listen, if there's one thing that we're going to bring you guys besides great coverage of Big Five basketball in the city of Philadelphia, it's accountability when these teams lose. Obviously, when it's against each other, like you said, one team has to win, one team has to lose. So we'll have to calculate that as well. But yeah, I don't think I have a great record either. Um, I don't think I've been to as many games as you this year, just with the union schedule and whatnot. But uh, yeah, it's not great. It's not great. So we're gonna have to figure this out. Obviously, one team's gonna have to win, and one team's gonna have to lose on Saturday. Hopefully Sunday we can get back on track with Villanova against Providence. But it's tough sledding. But we're gonna do better. We're accountable. We're gonna figure it out. Don't you guys worry. Um, but with that being said, we do very much thank you all for tuning in to this latest episode of Big Five Pod. If you want to check out more of our stuff, make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. Check out past episodes, see what analysis we've brought and whatnot, see when we're right or wrong. If you want to check us out on social media for all of our coverage, make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Big Five Pod. And of course, if you do want to listen to these podcasts, whether in your car or if you're on the go, or if you just don't want to look at our faces, which I would blame you for, honestly. I would blame you for that. I would blame you for it. Normally I say I don't blame you for it, but we're gonna be confident today. I would blame you for it, actually. I'm not gonna hold it against you though, but I will blame you for it. But anyway, what I was saying was our audio only versions are on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So definitely make sure you tune into those regardless. And we are definitely excited to bring you coverage during full weekend of hoops here. And until then, we'll see you.